It just takes a beloved movie and makes it much more boring and much less realistic. The movie is really, really bad.
Girl, imagine showing up to play the evil queen, ready to eat up every scene in Couture, only to watch the entire movie burn down in real time.
But the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater.
That's the exact position Gal Gadot reportedly found herself in, and sources now say she's had enough.
Are they're leaning in. They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now. I mean, Disney, one of the most gay-friendly companies.
According to whispers from deep inside Disney HQ, Gal has allegedly threatened to quit future promotional appearances after being blindsided by the film's chaos. That includes the backlash over Rachel Ziegler's press tour, the controversy surrounding Disney's modernized direction, and yes, being dragged into internet memes and culture war debates over a movie she was barely allowed to promote on her own terms. Let's not forget, Gal has been the one calm, elegant, unbothered face of the whole mess. She did her job, gave her performance, stayed classy. But now, she's reportedly being painted as part of a sinking ship, and she is not here for it.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
Here's where it gets spicy. Multiple sources say Gal's PR team and reps allegedly called out Disney privately, demanding to know why she was being looped into the backlash when she never contributed to the drama. Her appearances were limited. Her interviews were clean. She avoided every controversial talking point, and yet, her name keeps trending whenever Snow White is mentioned. Why? Because Disney allegedly bundled her into damage control campaigns, trying to distract from the Rachel drama by overemphasizing Gal's villainous charm. And babe, she noticed. According to one insider from the studio's marketing division, her team was furious. They told Disney to stop using Gal as a bandage for Rachel's blow-ups.
So with Snow White, let's go through this, right? There's no prince. Woman doesn't need a prince.
Oh, Lord.
Really? Okay, good luck back then.
While Gal is reportedly threatening to dip, guess who's pouring gasoline on the entire situation? Joe freaking Rogan. After already predicting the Snow White flop months ago and going viral for it, Joe is now doubling down, this time calling out Disney by name and dragging Gal's situation right into the spotlight. In a recent podcast episode, Rogan said, "You've got Gal Gadot in the movie and nobody's even talking about her. That's how broken this thing is. She should have walked already. Girl," he said that. The clip went viral immediately, with fans reposting it like, "Joe." Rogan just said what Gal's probably thinking. And you already know the vibe. TikTok has gone full fan fiction mode, posting edits like Gal watching the movie burn while sipping wine in her castle, and POV, "You're the only one," who didn't tank the film.
It's just so stupid. Like, of course you do. Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Here's the kicker. With Rachel's image basically torched, merch sales plummeting, and Joe Rogan's commentary gaining millions of views, Disney is allegedly trying to lock Gal in with emergency contract incentives. Sources close to the project say the studio is offering Gal a bonus to stay on board for international press, discussing a villain origin film to give her a solo spotlight, and pushing to center her in a new Disney villainverse as a last-ditch pivot. But Gal, reportedly, isn't biting. She's already booked, unbothered, and so over being dragged into a flop she didn't cause. And if she walks, that's it. Disney loses its last unproblematic face attached to this movie.
I think this is their policies coming back to bite them. They went woke.
Yeah.
She went out and said stuff woke that was going to hurt the film. They couldn't come out and go against her because then you're going after somebody for saying what you say you believe.
Let's be real, babe. We all felt something weird between Gal Gadot and Rachel Ziegler from the very beginning. Like, the body language in press shots? Stiff. The interview energy? Awkward. But now, we have receipts. This feud went from low-key tension to full-on Hollywood Cold War, and it is unfolding right in public. Multiple sources confirm there was friction on set, with Gal allegedly keeping her distance from Rachel throughout production. Not because of diva behavior, but because reportedly, Gal didn't vibe with the tone Rachel was bringing to the legacy character. While Rachel was making headlines dragging the original Snow White story, Gal was apparently trying to keep Things classy, fun, and non-viral. According to one leaked report from the production crew, they were cordial. But that's it. Gal stayed in her lane. Rachel was doing her own thing, and it was a very different energy. Translation? They were not playing the sisterhood game.
But at the same time, like, I think going forward, they're going to be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Tight-lipped. Otherwise, guess what? We're clawing back some money.
Yeah. This would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, Prince, if it wasn't about socialism.
The internet exploded when Rachel posted a thank you tribute on her Instagram after the premiere and didn't mention Gal at all. She gushed over the cast and crew, named people, thanked the director, even tagged makeup artists, but Gal, crickets, and the fans immediately noticed. Comments flooded in like, "Where's Gal? So you're just gonna pretend the queen wasn't in the movie? This shade is snow cold." Even media outlets like Page Six and 2Fab ran headlines calling it a blatant snub, especially since Gal was literally standing next to her on red carpets weeks earlier. And the timing came right as feud rumors were starting to boil online. It was the Instagram post that launched 1,000 TikToks.
And I get it, there's a difference between spoiling and whatever, but to go out and badmouth everybody and talk smack about, older movies in the same franchise, the canon story, I guess?
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like they would have had better control over that.
Yes, girl. You read that right. At the official Hollywood premiere of Snow White, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot didn't take a single red carpet photo together. Not one, even though they play the two leads of the film, even though every other press tour for a Disney movie shows the cast hugging it out, kissing cheeks, doing corny princess waves. Not this one. Sources say the separation was very intentional. According to Marca, both women arrived at the carpet separately, posed solo, and had completely different photo call schedules. Like, girl, at this point, not even the PR team could pretend they were on good terms. This wasn't just a missed photo op, it was a message.
Then I can't bitch about it. This girl took the money and then decided that she wanted to go out there. And you know what? I'm going to take my stand. Well, you should have made that stand before you took the money to promote a film, because that's not in line with your job description.
And just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Joe Rogan's name enters the feud chat again. On his podcast, Joe subtly hinted at behind-the-scenes tension between the two actresses, saying, "You've got two completely different energies carrying this film. One's a professional, the other's trying to go viral." And even though he didn't say names, girl, we all know who he meant. The fans knew. The clips spread, the comments dragged. The memes exploded. Some fans even edited Joe's soundbite over red carpet footage of Rachel and Gal standing miles apart like it was a K-drama breakup scene. It's giving, Rachel's running her own narrative. Gal's just trying not to get messy. And the fans are 100% taking sides.
Ben Platt, whose father helped produce the latest Snow White film, had some very harsh words for star Rachel Zegler.
For context, Variety wrote a report recently titled "Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco: Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler."
Here's the thing. Gal threatening to leave makes so much more sense when you realize she's been dealing with this feud the whole time. This isn't just about press backlash or Disney flopping. This is about Gal being dragged into a drama she never asked for, tied to an actress who's constantly trending for the wrong reasons and being forced to smile through it all for the cameras. Her team allegedly told Disney, "We signed on to promote a movie, not manage another actress's." Controversies, and now that she's been snubbed, memed, and dragged into fan wars, babe, she's done. Insiders say Gal's already started backing out of scheduled appearances, and that Disney is begging her to stay involved, even offering her a solo villain. Origin story to sweeten the deal, but from what we're hearing, Gal might be walking anyway, because sometimes not being involved anymore is the smartest PR move you can make.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Okay, bestie. So after Snow White flopped harder than a D-list reality show reboot, Disney didn't just panic. They pivoted. Hard. The original game plan was simple. Give the world a reimagined Snow White with Rachel Zegler front and center. Push empowerment, sprinkle on some nostalgia, and wait for the billion-dollar box office. But once backlash hit, Rachel's soundbites went viral in all the wrong ways, and Joe Rogan basically roasted the entire production to ashes. Disney hit the red button behind the scenes, and now the new strategy is all about Gal. According to multiple industry leaks, Disney is quietly refocusing their post-Snow White plans on the one thing that didn't flop: Gal Gadot's evil queen. Insiders say Disney execs are considering a Maleficent-style villain origin story for Gal's character with a dark fantasy tone, no Rachel in sight, and a storyline that explores the queen's rise to power. Think House of Mouse meets House of the Dragon. It's the villain era, babe, and Gal's in the throne.
I think they could have done all that. Well, you want to call? Well, they could have done all that still, and as long as she had gone out and been like, well, we just have a different story. I like the old story, but we're doing a different one this time.
You're probably right.
The backlash would have been 10 times.
Yes, you're probably right.
Let's get into the receipts. Reports from 2 separate test screenings, one in LA, another in London, said the same thing. Viewers found Rachel unrelatable. The plot felt incohesive, and the only consistently positive feedback? Gal Gadot's performance. Apparently, when her evil queen stepped on screen, audiences lit up. She was regal, commanding, stylish, basically the only character with actual presence. Disney's own analytics confirmed that Gal's scenes had the highest retention rates and strongest reaction scores in early cuts, especially the ones from the rumored alternate version. You know, the version where Rachel barely speaks, the queen narrates everything, and the ending leaves the princess out of her own story? Yeah, that one. Now fans are demanding that cut. And Gal? She's holding the cards.
That said, our primary purpose is to entertain. And where we can entertain responsibly, obviously, we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world. But the first thing we need to do is entertain.
Girl, Joe didn't just critique Snow White. He accidentally became the movie's narrator. Clips of him dragging the film's CGI, questioning the budget, and calling out the tone have been edited into fan trailers, reaction videos, and parody. Breakdowns with millions of views. There's even a TikTok trend using his quote, "This looks like a group project for a college media class, except they had a $250 million budget." Ouch! But the part that stings most for Disney? He was right. And the audience knows he was right. Even fans who don't stan Rogan are posting. Stuff like, "Not a Rogan fan, but damn, he called every beat of this flop." And when your loudest critic becomes the voice of reason, that's when the PR team stops sleeping.
An honest golden employment opportunity for Dora.
There's not that many scripts that come down the pipe.
Only 7 of them.
While Rachel Zegler's team is stuck in apology mode, Gal's PR team is serving full silence and strategy. No clapbacks, no public alliances. Just distance, control, and soft power moves. According to a report from Deadline, Gal's agents are, now, negotiating for a producer credit on the potential villain spin-off, asking for creative control over script direction, and most interestingly, asking Disney to clarify that Gal had no involvement in the Snow White script or narrative direction. Basically, they want the world to know she was hired to slay, not save a broken film. And Disney is so desperate to keep her happy that they're allegedly agreeing to it, because the last thing they can afford is Gal Gadot publicly distancing herself.
But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, and this is right. This is demeaning, and they were like, "What? We just want to work. We're dwarves." So ho ho ho.
Now, here's where things go full panic mode. After Snow White bombed this hard, Disney is reportedly pausing or shelving multiple live-action reboots, some already deep in development. Sources say Tangled's remake was quietly pulled from internal schedules. The Princess and the Frog live-action plan is on hold indefinitely. Hercules? Still technically happening, but being reevaluated for tone and scope. The common thread? They were all being marketed with a similar modern spin approach. And now, thanks to backlash and Joe's virality, Disney is realizing that audiences aren't buying it anymore. Internal documents leaked by a former marketing analyst even used the phrase, "audience burnout on legacy and version storytelling." Translation, people are tired of reboots that trash the original and pretend it's revolutionary. And you already know Joe Rogan said this months ago. They don't love these stories. They're just repackaging them to check boxes. So now, it's villain season, original-ish content, low risk, high glam, and Gal might just be the new face of the pivot.
So even though woke in some sense feels like it's dead, it still has to run its course through the system. The ghosts have to get out of the machine in essence.
Let's be real, if Gal Gadot officially quits, it's not just bad optics, it's catastrophic. She's the last marketable name Disney has left on Snow White. Rachel Zegler is surrounded by controversy. The box office numbers flopped. Merch. sales plummeted, and critics are already calling it the worst rollout in Disney live-action history. So if Gal steps away, the narrative becomes, even the villain didn't want to be here. The only good part of the movie has left: the building. This isn't a franchise, it's a one-and-done disaster. One Disney insider allegedly told The Hollywood Reporter, "If we lose Gal, there's no sequel, no spin-off, no nothing. We're done." And the fans? They're already prepared for it. Hashtags like "Let Gal Go" and "Protect the Queen" are trending. Memes are flying. TikTok edits are already soundtracking her exit arc to Lana Del Rey tracks. At this point, she doesn't even have to quit loudly. She can just walk out silently. And that alone would speak volumes.
You think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarves want to work.
Even if Gal does stay, which, let's be honest, is not guaranteed, the damage to Disney's reputation is still unfolding. The studio is bleeding public goodwill, getting slammed from both mainstream media and fans watching their own stars publicly distance themselves from their vision. Snow White was supposed to be a reset, a bold step forward for legacy storytelling. Instead, it's become a textbook example of what happens when branding replaces creativity. And the worst part? Joe Rogan didn't just expose it, he predicted it. Every single soundbite, from his $250 million CGI mess line to this, was made by people who don't love the story, has turned into viral shorthand for what's gone wrong. He's not just part of the conversation anymore, he's narrating the entire downfall.
For Snow White, it's coming to terms with finding herself and finding her inner voice and finding a sense of agency so that she can be a just ruler and a wonderful queen, because there's another one in town.
Let's be clear, Gal is in the power seat right now. She can leverage the backlash into a spin-off she controls exit quietly and let her absence make the statement, or even take the villain crown to another studio and let them build her an empire. There. Are rumors already swirling that other studios are reaching out to her team with offers? She's being called the Loki of Disney, the scene-stealing villain everyone loves more than the hero. One rumor says Warner Brothers is considering reintroducing her in the DC universe with full creative control. Another leak claims Netflix is watching the chaos and sees Gal as the perfect anchor for a fantasy franchise of their own, one without a broken brand to babysit. Disney knows they're on the verge of losing her, and they're reportedly throwing everything they can at keeping her close. Producer titles, bigger roles, even legacy control. But Queen energy doesn't beg, it walks. And Gal might be halfway out the palace already.
But at the same time, I think going forward, they're going to be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah.
Tight-lipped. Otherwise, guess what? We're clawing back some money.
Yeah. This would have been a lot better if they, had a strong male along with her, a prince, if it wasn't about socialism.
Let's take a moment to appreciate the most chaotic twist of this whole story. Joe Rogan is now being viewed as the only person who actually called it. Not the press, not film analysts, not Disney themselves. A podcast host with no connection to the film, who just saw a trailer and vibed the flop energy immediately, is now the unofficial voice of truth in this entire scandal. He's got the clips, he's got the quotes, and now he's got the fans backing him. People are literally commenting, Joe for CEO of Disney. At least he knows what audiences want. Make it make sense. The fact that Disney hasn't acknowledged him only makes him look more right. And in today's world, that kind of silence is a confession.
So I've got some bona fides here on being fair. The movie was absolutely terrible. In every way that the movie differed from the beloved 1937 original, it was worse.
So here we are. Gal Gadot might leave, Joe Rogan might meme his way into media history. Disney might bury this movie in the vault and never speak of it again. But one thing is clear, Snow White's legacy has changed forever. What was once a symbol of innocence, beauty, and timeless magic is now a cautionary tale, a warning about misreading your audience, silencing your stars, and thinking you can repurpose a fairy tale without respecting the story. Gal knew it. Joe saw it. The internet screamed. It and Disney learned the hard way.
Basically, this movie was like you took the original Snow White and just put everything through this filter of liberalism. It wasn't through a filter of Japanese anime, it was through a filter of liberalism.
All right, babe, you made it to the end, and now I need your thoughts. Was Gal right to distance herself? Did Disney mishandle everything? And how wild is it that Joe Rogan is now more trusted than the actual studio behind the film? Drop your takes in the comments. The hot ones, the petty ones, the conspiracy level ones. I'm reading all of it. And if you live for deep dives like this, messy Hollywood drama, studio meltdowns, and fairy tales gone wrong, then you already know what to do. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, ring that bell so you're the first to hear when the next crown starts to crack, because this, babe, wasn't a reboot, it was a royal unraveling.